All right, guys, Eric Cogorno here with Performance Golf. In today's video, we're talking about how the trail arm works in the downswing, how you can use your trail arm to hit the ball consistently solid. In today's video, I have my good friend and great coach, Mr. Jeff Ritter. Appreciate you being here, man.
Yeah, absolutely, bud.
So Jeff's one of the best golf coaches in the world, has been for a long time. Someone I've looked up to for a long time into the golf industry, and you're gonna find out why in today's video. Jeff, we have three really key points, three ways as to how the trail arm works, and two or three really nice drills, of which I don't think we've done on the channel before. So
Right on,
there's
yeah.
some pretty new ones. And so if we start from start, kind of the basic point, Jeff.
Yeah.
If I came in, I said, hey, Jeff, I'm a regular golfer. I struggle with contact and consistency. Maybe I've seen or I've been told that I'm kind of don't have my trail arm working correctly. What would you say is the importance of how the trail arm works during the downswing? Like, why is it important that we get that right?
Well, when you look at the golf swing in general, it's got three basic functions. We got to make solid contact. We got to hit the ball a reasonable distance. We got to be able to control the direction the ball travels. So if you get those 1, 2, 3 right, then you possess the skills of a scratch level player, right? Relative to, that basic performance arc, if you can't get the low point in the right spot, make contact with the ball first, then nothing else is gonna matter. A lot of golfers are just chasing speed, but speed that's misapplied is just a big waste of time. So we start with low point control first, and then we create a solid strike. We build some speed around that strike, and then we can fine tune the distance. So, there's a lot of different ways a golfer would hit behind the ball. But for this tip, one of the ways is just releasing the angle between the lead arm and club shaft a little bit too early, right? So when the shaft and your lead arm line up, that's when the radius of the circle is going to be at its widest, right?
Yeah.
And if we create that width early, then the club pitches into the ground, we hit behind the ball. So we all know that we have a wrist hinge. The lead arm is going to stay straight throughout most of the swing until the end, but this trail arm is creating movement in the wrist and the elbow, right?
Yeah.
So we have a wrist hinge, and we also have an elbow fold. So if you make a backswing, by left arm level or a little bit farther, we got this three sides to a square look between our bicep, our forearm, and our club shaft, right? So the big key coming down for golfers is to recognize the angle in their trail wrist and then start just expanding the elbow joint through the ball until the arms get to full extension.
Yeah.
Right. So to me, like, the definition of the follow through is the point at which both arms are straight, right? And that's going to be through the ball. In coaching, we call that shaft 45. The shaft's about 45 degrees to the ground. Most people are getting both arms straight way too early, and especially releasing this trail wrist a little bit too soon. So, in our academy, we just like to come up with different drills that are real simple that you can do anywhere. I think the big thing that golfers struggle with is they think that they have to practice at the golf course. But if you can create little upgrades, if you can create feels, if you can take, confusion, which is like next door neighbors to discovery, and kind of bridge that gap, then all of a sudden you go to the golf course and you feel more empowered because you feel like you're a little bit farther along.
All right, guys, quick break from today's video. Look, if you want to make massive improvements with your game and actually get way better in 2025, you got to do something different than you've done before. And one of those things that I highly recommend is checking out these 2-day schools that my friends at Performance Golf are hosting. These are with the best coaches in the world, people you see me in videos with all the time, like Martin Chuck, Andrew Rice, Erica Larkin, many more of the top coaches at awesome places all around the United States. We're seeing great results with these schools because what we're able to do when we see you in person is really find and fix the main root issue. Most all of us have like 4 or 5 things wrong with our swing. You can't do them all at one time, but you can find and fix the main one thing, which we can do in person like that. We're able to make massive improvements. I'm talking like maybe 2 years of improvements in only 2 days. So if you're looking for something to really fast track your improvement, this could be the thing that could take you to the next level. We'll put a link in the description down below. Check it out, see if there's a spot available in a location that works for you.
For us, what we like to do starting off is just basically kind of imagine that we don't have any golf course, equipment or implements available to us. Now, as mentioned to you earlier, like back in the day, my dad, he was a golf pro up in the Philadelphia section. He's retired now. He was always looking for security cameras at the mall to practice his swing. He used to drive my mom crazy. But he loved golf, I love golf, and I know the people at home who love golf. So the first thing that you can do without anything golf related is just create a little plus sign between your index fingers, right? Okay. So if you're at home, take your trail hand index finger, point it where the ball would be. Take your lead hand index finger underneath that one, just make a little plus sign. And then from here, you're going to kind of go into a backswing and you're going to hook those fingers together.
Okay.
So really what we're trying to do with the lead arm staying pretty straight is just kind of notice that feeling of the trail wrist kind of cock back a little bit, right? From that position right there, we're going to swing the lead arm back over our lead shoe, right? So the left foot for the righties, the right foot for the lefties. And because you got these fingers hooked, you can see how the trail wrist is staying cocked back.
Yeah.
You can also see how I'm allowing my trail elbow to expand. So I'm really trying to get both arms to full extension as my hands are working over my lead shoe, but of course keeping this trail wrist cocked back a little bit.
Yeah.
That's the first thing.
I really like, Jeff, how you present this too, where, you know, if someone doesn't know how the right arm works,
Yeah.
they say there's 2, maybe /3 really important things with how the trail arm works. You said in the downs, I thought you presented it so beautifully.
Yeah.
Which is getting the elbow to the midline. And as we're getting the elbow to the midline or forward, which we'll demonstrate for the sake of hitting ball first, ground second, being able to straighten the right arm while keeping the wrist bent back is such a key move and a differentiator between players we work with who strike it good day in, day out and players who struggle, right?
Right.
And so with the elbow to the midline part, maybe let's just talk about that for a minute, what that means, and the checkpoint of getting the hands to the shoe, and then we'll work through more of the drills.
Yeah, sure. You know, when you look at your body anatomically, you know, your spine is the midpoint between the left and the right side of your body. So we call it the midline, right? So in a sound golf swing, the lead arm is going to work more towards the midline in the backswing, as the trail arm would naturally work a little bit away from that.
Yeah.
And you got to reverse that action as you work through the golf ball and into the follow through. So in the downswing, players that tend to hit behind the ball, very often they're not moving this trail arm back towards and eventually across the midline. And we watch from the face on camera view, you know, we'll see the club getting to about level to the ground where the hands are over the trail foot, and we'll still see a big window or gap between the trail arm and the side. So now the arm swing is not complemented with the pivot, and all of a sudden, again, the low points back.
That's the bad version.
That's the bad version, right?
Yeah.
So the big key is from the top of the backswing, you have this little separation here. The first thing you see out of really good players, they close that gap up.
Yes.
They close that gap up. You know, they're not trying to tuck their elbow into their hip or into their side, but they're really trying to get that armpit kind of closed up and the arm working more back towards that midline.
Yeah.
So if we can do that, right? And I really like this drill here. You put a ball between your fingers and your thumb like you're gonna get a little sidearm throw. You create that little 3 sides to a square again, 1, 2, 3, right? Right wrist cocked back. Now from here, I'm gonna keep the wrist cocked back, and I'm really gonna try and get my wrist the whole way over top of my left shoe, right? So what I'm trying to do here, anytime we create a drill, we're always creating an exaggeration.
Yeah.
Right? You know, we have to go a mile in sensation to get an inch worth of change. Anyone who's worked on their golf swing,
Amen.
put it on video and you're like, oh my God, it's not any different, right? They're just not being different enough. So even though some of the positions we get to might not 100% match up with reality, we're trying to give people who struggle with one basic pattern the opportunity to break it and create a new pattern. So it's not too dissimilar from the feeling of the fingers being hooked, but we cock the trail wrist back, we bend the elbow. Obviously, weight on your forward foot. That's really important for getting the low point forward. But for this tip, it's the trail arm working across the midline and keeping the trail wrist cocked back.
Yes. Okay.
So in terms of the movement of the arm, well, if I were to just expand my elbow without moving towards the midline, I throw a ball over there.
Yeah.
Right? So just from a position of logic, if I do the same thing and I try and throw a ball over here,
Yes.
that would be the correct movement. So a lot of things that we do are things people already know how to do. They just haven't applied them to golf.
Getting them in the golf. Let's switch spots, Jeff, for a second. I'm going to try 1 or 2 of those drills. So when you're watching this, and if you're struggling with the consistency of contact, right? Hit it good one day, not the next, not sure what's going on. Odds are that you're going to fall into the camp of the arm being too far back.
Absolutely.
Right? And the arm being too far back, causing the early release. Now, in terms of the first drill, Jeff, as I'm coming through, or just as from like a feel perspective, you said that the idea here from the golfer is to have the right wrist stay bent back, feel like that arm's working across me a little bit. If we're just independent arm motion.
Sure.
So for my visual, I'm trying to get the hand about even with the left shoe or the lead shoe. have the arm extend. And that's really, isn't that the trick of it? Is extending the arm while keeping the trail wrist bent back.
That's right.
And so let me try this one here. You said left finger kind of in front like this.
Actually, just try and get the trail one and just go ahead and break it down. I'm going to point that at the ball and make it a little simple. Okay. Then take this one underneath and make a little plus sign.
Okay.
And then from there, kind of hook them together. And then from there, go into your backswing. And you can really feel the tension against that trail hand index finger, right?
Okay.
And the thing is that, you know, in golf, there's a number of pressure points in our grip, but one of our key pressure points is feeling the trail hand index finger against the back of the shaft. And so right there, you can see how my finger is supporting the angle of the shaft so I can feel the plane, right? So too steep, too light, too flat, too heavy, you know, Goldilocks and Three Bears, you know, just right.
Yeah.
And now as I'm coming down, you know, I feel my trail wrist cock back and I can really feel how that trail hand index finger is not only helping me compress the ball by leaning the shaft, but also directing the path of the swing. I feel like you can really feel that through that little finger hook drill.
Yeah, certainly like I can feel the pressure of my left index finger pulling back my right index finger, feeling like that right index finger against the shaft, right? And getting the left hand or getting the hand over the shoe while the wrist is still bent back is such a really nice visual. I'd like to hit one, Jeff.
Yeah, let's do it.
Just kind of with that same feel. So let's just kind of assume normal setup. I'm going to make a backswing. I like that 3 sides to a square, 1, 2, 3. So obviously I've got to bend my right wrist back, right, during the backswing to have that. So as I'm coming down here, I'm feeling the arm extending, keeping the right wrist bent back.
Yeah, let's stop here. So like if you have a little tree branch you're trying to hit the ball under,
Kind of right there.
Yeah, so we're going to stop at what we call shaft 45. So that would be 90 degrees. That's 45 degrees. Yep. Both arms are at full extension. Maybe rotate that wrist a little bit.
Yeah.
And the big thing we're trying to do here, just from a training perspective, is see if we can't maintain that angle just a little bit.
Okay.
You know, the thing is, if we're making a full swing, if I go the whole way to here, I don't know what the condition of my hands or arms were through the ball, right? So we want to be able to like hit and hold, and then maybe check and correct. You know how like like in gymnastics, you know, these girls have these incredible like tumbling routines. They do these spins and flips, and of course, if they land, like the landing's really important to their score, right?
Yeah.
If they bobble and stumble, they don't just like slink back to the bench and say, I suck, right?
Right.
They go, hang on a second. That's what I meant to do, right? So they're trying to create a tidy ending to their routine. So if a golfer can hit a smaller shot with their focus on one basic movement, and they can hold that position and evaluate it, they're going to start to notice if they're getting closer or farther from their goal.
I like that a lot. So I'm going to feel that right wrist staying bent back, kind of hands to the shoe, elbow toward the midline, or that bicep towards the pec sensation. Let me go ahead and hit 1 or 2 for there, just to feel that same sensation, kind of finishing into here.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to go out there towards that little cell tower, and just to start to practice that feel, right arm forward, right wrist bent back. So I went a little long.
But that ball flight, that's a lot lower than your normal flight, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is, like, you know, you already compressed the ball, so you don't need this feel. You already do it.
Yeah.
So when you start thinking about trying to keep that trail wrist a little bit more cocked back or delayed, you actually start leaning the shaft a little bit more towards the target.
Right.
But the average golfer is not doing that. The average golfer is backing the shaft up.
For sure. So to that point, Chappie, well, they need these exaggerated feels just to get to like a normal impact position.
You got to be able to hit all the shots. You know what I mean? You have to be able to hit it low, medium, and high. And if you can only hit it high, you should start chasing hitting it low. So like all improvement in golf comes through the pursuit of the opposite. It's like an episode of Seinfeld. If everything you've done to this point has been wrong, well, the opposite would have to be right. So
That's right.
We're going to chase a feel, but we're also going to chase a trajectory or flight.
Okay.
Right. So the goal is trying to hit a ball lower versus higher. Right. And if you go to like, you know, Sam Snead base tip, you know, he would say, if I want to hit it high, I look up. If I want to hit it low, I look down.
Yeah.
Right. So if we get a feel, if we imagine a trajectory and we take our eyes and we kind of pitch them a little bit lower, then all of those things would move us more towards the outcome that we're looking for.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, if someone's doing this well, for sure the ball's gonna be more penetrating, lower than normal, and then having the intent of that, even when you're starting the drive, would be beneficial.
Intention.
So we've got the 2/3 arm moves.
Yep.
Right? We've got the arm, let's say elbow and arm to the midline, so getting the arm forward. We've got the ability, gosh, if you take one thing from this, the ability to straighten or extend the arm while keeping the wrist back is the absolute gold. Now we've got 2 out of the 3. I want to do one more quick little drill feel with it. We've got the cross, right? Or the plus sign. Love that one. We've got the throw with the ball, right? Having the hand to the shoe. And one other one I've seen you do, Jeff, before, variations of it. But if I were to grip down towards the end of the club, right? And just have the butt of the club a little bit extended here. I saw you when you make your downswing showing one of your students, hey, when you're coming down, if you keep the butt of the club pointed down towards the ground for a little bit longer, that will give you the ability to keep that trail wrist bent back a little.
Yeah, no doubt. You know, and what I would do, you know, visuals and cues are really important, you know, so everyone's got some T's in their pocket, little T out of the back of the grip, right? That's like a little laser pointer.
Yep.
And then what I want you to be able to do, you know, give yourself a target over here more on the forward side of the golf ball and see if you can't keep that grip and that T pointing down to this zip code for as long as possible. Right, and that's going to be way different than the early release that we see out of the everyday golfer.
Back here.
That's correct. Yeah, it's working more towards your body, right?
Yeah. And so, Jeff, I mean, when I'm doing this, they may even be feeling this like all the way, like even hands, even with the ball, potentially.
Yeah.
By quite a bit of, you know, forward.
Yeah, I mean, there's feel versus real. Right? And the thing is, like, if you're not videotaping your swing, then you're doing yourself a disservice.
Oh.
You know, practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent. Right? So lousy practice leads to permanently, you know, lousy golf, right? So there's a lot of feel versus real, you know, and the thing is, like, we all have a recording studio in our back pocket.
Yeah.
Like there's literally no excuse to not just hit a few balls and be able to get some positive feedback to let you know if you're exaggerating enough or if you got to go a little bit farther.
I love it. And there's not a lot of golfers who are going to look anything like this who aren't going to hit it pretty well. So if you're going to err on a little bit more forward. One more, Jeff, arm forward, trying to extend the trail arm while keeping the right wrist back, kind of feeling like I'm getting into this 45. I'm going to go into a full swing here.
Yeah.
But feel like I go through that motion. Yeah, that's very solid for me. I would take that.
Beautiful ball bud right there.
I would take that one. Mr. Ritter, Jeff, appreciate you. If you guys haven't been to and want to check out Performance Golf Zone schools, Jeff hosts some of them. There's some all across the country. They're absolutely awesome. We'll put that link down below. You're going to see more stuff with Jeff here in the future. Struggle with consistent contact, get that trail arm motion correct. Thank you guys for watching.